Welcome back to The Junkyard, a series dedicated to rebuilding your favorite fictional mecha in mobile engagement chassis Steel Hearts. Tonight, we're correcting the mistakes of the Universal Sentry with a mech designed to soar across the stars. The prototype YG-111 G-Self from Gundam Reconguista in G. The G-Self is the mobile suit piloted by Bellry Zenam of Earth's Capital Guard after initially falling from space as if from heaven itself. This thing changed hands and sides a couple times, but mostly ended up being piloted by a plucky teenager, as many Gundams do, who casually commits treason and joins a bunch of space pirates because of a crush, as you do. The G-Self has a super unique design, especially compared to the Universal Sentry Gundams that came centuries before. The round out edges, the fins becoming horns, and those freaky eyes. Kinda feels like if a getter was French shaped. Anyway, we've got a few different goals here. The G-Self can swap out a bunch of different backpacks that change how it functions. We don't need to replicate this function because Steel Hearts already functions like this, swapping out parts as needed, and a start of campaign stock mech with only 3 parts would basically be the G-Self with no packs. Instead, since we're using all 6 parts already, we're trying to replicate the perfect pack, as that is the G-Self at its most complete. So our goals are to make a space-worthy machine that can fly and fly well. We've also got to be capable of some electronic warfare when things go wrong. We need the standard Gundam armaments and the feel of one too, so sturdy enough to take a couple of hits. Our benchmark is Grandpappy RX-78-2, so we gotta at least be comparable to it. Finally, we need the ultimate weapon, the dreaded photon torpedoes. Our rules are as follows. 1. We start with all 6 parts. With the addition of the perfect pack, the G-Self is, well, perfect. 2. All parts from the mechanic shop are allowed. This includes fabled parts. The perfect pack is a mid-season upgrade after all, and those photon torpedoes need to hit hard. I'll show an alternative that doesn't use fabled parts too though. And 3. 150,000 credits upgrade limit. A decent amount to make a machine, but also keeping in mind that resources are low in this world. I've actually made a couple different Gundams already, even if I haven't shown them all yet, and most of them have a few parts in common, and at least one from the Knight. But for the first time, the Knight is absent. Instead, we're taking parts from the Banshee 44, Warlock 13, Celestial 3, Wizard 2, and the Druid 03. So our base G-Self comes first, and we can't have a Gundam without beam sabers. For that, we're grabbing the Druid Starblade. This is a pretty standard beam sword, frying anything that gets close to you, with a neat ranged option in the burst attack against everyone adjacent to you. Next, we need a gun, and by scored, we have options. Like, so many of them work. This video got too long when I tried talking about all of them, so I'll only focus on 2. If you want to experiment with them though, the Wizard's Laser Digits, Alchemist's Wrist Flamers, Druid's Bonfire Blaster, Beast Tamer's Wormhide Shield, Celestial's Holy Tome, and the Sorcerer Alpha's Beam Rifle are all fantastic picks. The Wormhide Shield in particular synergizes best with later parts, and is what I would pick if actually playing this thanks to its shield boost and the explosive shield toss stratagem. But the mech lacks a ranged basic option with it, which is a bit of a problem when the part is meant to be a gun. So, Gun 1 is the Toasanga rifle and the perfect pack's omnidirectional lasers, so we're taking the Wizard's Laser Digits. We've got a range 6 basic attack and 2 stratagems to turn anybody to dust. Searing Spell powers up if your target is already burning, which they probably will be if you're playing a Gundam build. Fireball is a huge explosion that does reliable damage, while Ignition attacks 3 people within range 6. The damage is low, but it's direct damage, and is a great panic button when things are closing in on you. The Wizard has a bit of a theme going on with it. If you've played any Dungeons & Dragons, particularly 5th edition, then you'll recognize these stratagems immediately. Fireball is too ubiquitous a spell in fantasy to call it a reference, but you get the idea. And Ignition is just Scorching Ray. Pick 3 targets within range and roast them. Gun 2 is the additional Assault Pack, since that can be used in conjunction with the Perfect Pack. We're taking the Alchemist's Wrist Flamers. They've got a range 4 blaze basic attack and 2 stratagems. Phaethon fires a massive super beam that you can enhance to increase the range and damage. The Inferno stratagem does either blaze or acid direct damage in a huge 5x5 area in front of you. It's not playing games. If you want to simulate having no pack at all equipped, then the trusty beam rifle never goes wrong, using whatever stat and element you want via adaptive blast. Our tools of murder picked, we now have a problem. There's no shield. Both our arm slots are taken up by extremely lethal weapons. Well, good thing we've got an option slot then. We're taking the Celestial's Repulsor Shields. This buffs up our max shields and gives us a bunch of stratagems that either charge up shields to block hits via Rebuke, or spends them to do extra damage via Sacrifice. This is the combo of the G-Self's Physical Shield and the Reflective Photon Armor Shield. With this, the G-Self's basic form is put together, but its perfect pack isn't exactly perfect, so let's add some stuff. Our helmet is the Banshee's Shrieker Speaker. This adds +1 attunement and soak, and a stratagem to stop people in their tracks, but we're taking it for its free action. Like all mobile suits, the G-Self emits Minovsky particles that scramble most form of wireless communications. On top of the fact that this thing has a whole slew of horrifying E-attacks and electronic warfare systems that fit right into Lancer, then it makes sense that other mechs can't really communicate while it's operating. So as a free action, you can use the Shrieker Speaker to jam local enemy communications. Our Photon Battery Core is hostile and unknowable, much like the Warlock's Cold Heart Core. This bumps up our attunement and computing, and gives us extra synergy every time we hack or immobilize our enemies via freezing. We also get the Singularity stratagem, letting us flood a 3x3 area with mass damage. Or we could just punch them with Void Shift, moving to a target within range 8 as an intervention before sending their head spinning. Finally, what you've all been waiting for. The G-Cell's Photon Torpedoes are terrifying. They're crystallized antimatter that you can throw in a direction, and suddenly there is no direction. Anything that touches them immediately turns to light with a tiny nuclear flash and is gone. We don't even know how powerful it really is, because Bellry only ever used it once, and while specifically trying to hold back. Not that it helped much. This weapon is a little too powerful, and while fundamentally different, its effect is very similar to the Turn A Gundam's Moonlight Butterfly system. There's a link there somewhere, but it's hard to tell the specifics with this somewhat fuzzy timeline. This deserves a fabled part. The lunar nanites are a maneuver part, granting us +3 speed and the ability to fly 6 spaces high. It's got a lot of stratagems, but the important one is the butterfly effect. This, This deletes all enemies on the battlefield. There is no range, there is no space or line of sight limitation. Are they your foe? Sucks to be them, huh? If murder isn't your style, you can instead cover your machine with the Perfect Pack's reflectors, using the Cocoon stratagem. If your GM has decreed that the lunar nanites are reserved for the Turn A alone, you can make do with the Celestial's Propulsion Halo. The actual appearance fits, but it also makes you slightly faster than the lunar nanites, makes you immune to fall damage such as from orbit, and gives you the Ring Blade, dealing shock damage all around you via the Tricky Pack's electronic warfare systems. Our parts are picked out and ready to go, but the depths of space are unforgiving, so let's actually attach everything with some upgrades. A first for the series, the G-Self was actually good at hacking. We're getting our computing up to near max, activating Optimize to let us generate synergy for ourselves on ones. This is pretty good since we'll want to be able to spend it for more shields. Next, we put a single point into attunement to activate Feedback Loop. This lets us gain 2 more dice on elemental detonations. Great, since a lot of our stratagems apply effects. Finally, we're putting a point into torque and durability, activating Heavy Duty to get +6 armor. The original Gundam was notably tanky, and we need to do a lot to catch up to it. If you really wanted, you could swap out the poison attunement for 2 more torque and durability to unlock Grunt Frame. But I think I want to hit harder, and we can already reject damage and boost our shields if it comes to it. Now that the G-Self is equipped and perfect, what are our stratagems? There's so many, it's kinda ridiculous, so try and stay with me here. The Banshee Cry is most of our Tricky Pack electronic warfare suite. It hits 3 targets within range 6, doing damage via Vulcans and applying either dazed or freezing for hacking them with a stand somehow, or freezing them with our tractor beam. If you KO anybody with this, you generate +3 synergy for every enemy downed. The Singularity is pretty simple, doing mass damage in a 3x3 bubble within range 6. Does extra +2 damage on triples, so our big damage beam spam. Void Shift lets us move to a target within range 8 and smack them with mass damage. Pretty easy to understand this torque punch or kick, but as it's an intervention, you can basically bust this out whenever you want, moving too fast for anyone to track you. Now you've hit the Photon Torpedoes, Butterfly Effect attacks all enemies on the field, doing 2 damage for each double, and applying an effect of your choice. Doesn't matter if they're behind cover or you can see them, it just activates. The damage is fine, but you need to understand just how busted applying effects to every enemy is. You can paralyze whole squadrons, ignite the whole battlefield, or set up chains of lightning to hold everyone in place. It's actually evil. As an intervention, Cocoon maxes out your shields and gives you half your max synergy value. Be careful though, you can't use both Butterfly Effect and Cocoon, because this stratagem can be exhausted. You basically got 1 use per sortie for this terrifying ability, so choose wisely. Moonlight's Grace is another defensive ability, hitting everyone in a huge 5x5 area within range 8. Each hit adds +1 shields and removes an effect as your copy-paste shields protects them. You can also do weird Gundam nonsense with the adaptive nanite stratagem, overriding all your elemental damage and effects you apply this phase with matching ones of your choice. Back to violence. The Perfect Pack has 2 traffic fins that can detach and smack people, whilst also interfering with whatever evils they want to do to you. This is our Smite stratagem, attacking a foe in range 6 and adding +2 shields to yourself for every 2 dice used. As an intervention, you can stop incoming damage entirely. Rebuke negates 1 damage for each hit, and you can expend your mech shields to deal damage back, 1 damage per 2 shields spent. We also get Judgment, a big 3x3 blast in range 6. This does shock damage and applies charged. It's a good thing we picked up Feedback Loop then, because charged detonations hurt, and they'll hurt a lot more thanks to that. It's got the Sacrifice chance too, which lets you add even more dice to the roll at the cost of your shields, 1 dice per shield expended. Our Beam Saber behaves the way you'd expect one to behave. Well, mostly anyways. The G-Self can stretch its saber out. We've got the Sword Beam mimicking this. It's got a range of 8, does blaze damage, and pushes enemies 1 space per 4 dice involved before applying burning. If you open up your turn with this, you deal an additional 4 direct damage via Solar Flare and move towards your target. Hey, you're lined up for a mean right hook. Xenocleave does big blaze damage to all sides and adding +2 damage for each triple. As expected, it also applies burning. Alternatively, you can swap out the damage and effect for Honed and Dazed via Star's Scream. Perfect for hunting down Autobots. Our last 2 stratagems are the Searing Spell and Fireball. Searing Spell does damage to a target within range 6 and applies burning. But if you already applied an effect to that target during this turn, you can deal an extra +4 damage and generate +2 synergy via its Spellslinger chance. Fireball is us activating Assault mode in our Perfect Pack, dealing blaze damage in a 3x3 area in range 6, and doing +1 damage per 3 dice used. So amplify this for maximum damage. We've also got an omnidirectional laser attack via Ignition. Pick 3 targets in range 6 and apply burning. It only does damage on doubles, but it's direct damage, great for punching holes in defenses. With stratagems out of the way, what do relics of this taboo technology leave us with the G-Self? We're 1 point short of the original Gundam stat total, but our overall spread is way more balanced. Computing is 7, and can still reach 8 with its last upgrade. Attunement is also 4, so these 2 stats make the G-Self a walking electronics warfare platform. You're basically your team's AWACS, jamming enemy radar while detecting everything else either via your computer or weird new type abilities. Our torque and durability are both 2s. We're not as beefy as Universal Century machines, but this is still a Gundam and can take a hit if it has to. Finesse and mobility is stuck at 1. In a world filled with transformers and mechs with NG whips, you don't stand out at all. We have 12 max shields, so only slightly higher than the RX-78-2, but many ways to recharge them, so not too bad. Our soak is 1, so he can take a few hits, but probably shouldn't push it. By Gundam standards, our armor is lacking at 18. It's fine, just don't get reckless with overheats and direct damage. Our speed is 8, so it's slightly faster than the original as well, or about the same speed when you consider the original Gundam's thruster pack. Ultimately, the G-Self lacks some of the Gundam's bulk and sheer strength, but makes up for it with superior speed and E defenses, which I think lines up pretty well. Overall, the G-Self is a great machine. So many attacks, and they're all pretty varied. It's hard to run out of ammo when using it, and with ways to boost your synergy, you can recharge even really draining stratagems. We can attack at any range, have loads of terrifying AoE attacks, and a small handful of support abilities too. This is a weird all-rounder mech that always has a trick up its sleeve. The downside to all this is that we're kinda fragile without shields, so we can't overheat our way through problems. Our single target damage also kinda sucks, with all our strongest attacks having weird chance conditions to activate properly. As an E-Warfare mech, this thing is also in trouble if it can't use the arm part's basic attacks. Finally, this thing is complicated. It's got 2 pages of stratagems, swapping out the wrong parts gimps your effectiveness, and it's really easy to pilot it suboptimally if you're not utilizing effects, chances, and interventions in effective order, or keeping track of them at all. With that, the G-Self is complete, ready to take to the stars where it came from. Be careful not to repeat the mistakes of the Universal Century, and maybe you can bring forth a new age in this one.